they're going to have to give him what he wants. He's going to reset the market after Todd Gurley, and it's going to help them. And you're overstating the problem that it causes, and I'll tell you why. First of all, the Gurley contract's not $54 million. Right. Because as you know, and you were a union rep, yes?
President.
Yeah, you were union president. That's right. I knew it was union something. You talked to Dominic Foxworth off the air. You understand that he was union something. That's right.
That's it. Union something.
But the point is, it's 4 years, $45 million, because that's the guarantee. That's the cap hit. That's the guarantee. That's the money he's going to make. The other money, who knows? Right. 4 years, 45. You're barely, not even $12 million a year. That's not terribly expensive for an extremely important offensive position. Now, yes, many running backs are interchangeable, but you could plot any population on a bell curve and see you get extra value on the far right side of the curve where Ezekiel Elliott is. So here's my philosophy on running backs and why it's maybe more okay to take them early in the draft than people realize. The running back position hits the ground running, so to speak, right? They're very productive right away, like almost MVP level if you just look at pure production. Could be from their rookie season on. Look at Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, and these guys. Then, so they play out their rookie deal. You can then franchise them. You could franchise him again. To avoid a holdout, you could sign him to a deal, fine. But even after that supposedly big deal, which is only going to last about 4 years and not even pay them $12 million a year if they're resetting the market and the best ever and all this stuff, after that, you're basically done paying them. And you've milked them for all that production through their prime. And as soon as they're done with their prime, you're not on the hook for anything. To pay Ezekiel Elliott is not really to hamstring the team financially. It's not like signing a quarterback or a defensive end or a left tackle, and you're going to get elite production from him for the rest of his prime. It's going to help them in the short run. It's not going to hurt them as much as you think in the long run.
So I agree with the fact that it'll help them in the short run, but I think it's probably unfair to talk about Ezekiel Elliott in the same way that you talk about other running backs, because you could argue that maybe it's okay to take a running back in the first round or high in the first round if he's Ezekiel Elliott. Anybody else, it's a problem because the value above the replacement player running back is not that great in that position. If you're Ezekiel Elliott and you're a great runner, you're a sensational pass blocker, you can run routes and line up as a receiver, then you have tremendous amount of value and you're worth every penny.
That's what we're talking about.
Right, that's what we're talking about. But you started to make an argument about drafting running backs in the first round in general.
No, I mean, listen.
But you don't know. The thing is, you don't know that Ezekiel Elliott is going to be that. At this point, you know that when you draft him, you don't know that he's going to be that.
Saquon went second, Gurley went ninth. I'm referring to those kind of backs who you spend top 10 picks on.
Those guys are definitely worth it. And the salary,
that's what we're talking about. That's Zeke.
This salary cap is not like the NBA salary cap in that this is a hard cap. So it is finite. You are making decisions. And the injury rate for running backs, while Zeke has been remarkably healthy, the injury rate for running backs is high, and that's obvious. So I think it's indisputable that it hurts or it's a high-risk maneuver. So I would argue that you pay him, and he's the type of guy who is worth it because he is not an ancillary piece to your offense. He's not a hood ornament. He is the engine on this particular
Well, you have to pay him also in terms of short. You talk about the difference between short and long-term goals here, right? Definitely good for you short-term. What is the long-term effect going to be? What I would argue, and I argued this on the other, I don't remember if you were on the show that day, when you prepare to do, like you set the table, eat. Teddy Atlas, our colleague and boxing trainer, Hall of Famer now, talks about that all the time. A fighter jabs, moves his head, gets inside. Don't tie the guy up, work the body now. You set the table, eat. Or in chess, I mentioned this the other day too, you prepare to finichetto your bishop or castle your king. Don't mess around. You prepared to make the move, make the move. If you spend the fourth overall pick in the draft on a running back and he pans out and you built the team to run and you have a great offensive line, now's the time to pay him. Pay him. Set the table. Eat.
I got stuck at Finichetto. You hit us with a Finichetto,
I have no
like
idea
chess
what
lingo.
does that mean?
I think so. I agree with that. Set the table. Eat, because it's not only just in that case. It's for their championship run. They've set the table to make a run right now. They have all the pieces. Their team is never going to be as talented as it is right now. So I would argue that you pay Ezekiel Elliott, no matter how much he's asking for, you pay him because this is your chance. You win a Super Bowl this year. What happens going forward, you can recover from. Your fans will recover from it because you've set the table. So now it's time for you to pay guys, and Zeke Elliott's the perfect guy to talk to when you're talking about eating.
Yeah, what we were debating is the long term.
Are the Cowboys maybe holding off for just a little bit longer and hoping that Zeke will back down a bit in terms of what he's asking for?
I don't think so. I mean, Zeke has enormous leverage right now because the Cowboys are fielding a Super Bowl caliber team in terms of the quality of the roster. The coach is another story. It's another example of a guy like, again, you built the whole team to run. You have Ezekiel Elliott. Hey, coach, what are we going to do? We're practically at midfield, 4th and 1. We have Ezekiel Elliott and a great offensive line. Let's punt. You know, like, that's the real issue.
The trends are there for the NFL moving in an NBA-ish direction where the players are taking power. Adam Schefter and I talked about this morning on Get Up, and you look back last year, Aaron Donald, holdout, got paid. Khalil Mack, holdout. He got traded and got paid. Now you have all these top players this year, from Yannick Ngakoue to Ezekiel Elliott to Michael Thomas and Gordon and Melvin Gordon out there. All these guys are holding out. It seems like Michael Thomas is definitely going to get paid. They've already, from what I've heard, they've already offered him a lot of money. These guys are going to start getting paid, and it seems like there's a trend being set in the position of power being taken that the players deserve in the NFL. They're starting to take it from it, and I like it. And I think Ezekiel Elliott is at the forefront, and we remember talking about how Le'Veon Bell last year would talk about, I'm doing this for everybody else. I hope Ezekiel Elliott can stay strong. And if players around the league or star players around the league need to pool money to send to him to cover his mortgage payment, they should do so, because I think this is a great precedent for players going forward.
But what you're talking about, I think the flashpoints here are players on teams who have enormous leverage because it's hard. Like Melvin Gordon, I don't think fits that category. It's hard to replace them, and the time is now. Ezekiel Elliott is like Exhibit A.
Yeah, he's the perfect guy, and I think he sends a message that I think can reverberate. You keep this trend going, it'll benefit players going forward.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.